community knows no bounds when the citizens are inspired to create. Imagine Martin on TV with hosts Jeff Sauer and Alexandra Herney.
Hi, and welcome to Imagine Martin on TV. I'm Al Herney, artist and taproom manager at Fairmont Brewing Company.
And I'm Jeff Sauer, mortgage broker with Edge Home Finance.
Well, we've got a good show today, again, like always, some new segments, and a really cool studio guest.
We interrupt this program to share with you the organizations that have made Imagine Martin's Community Information Hub a reality. Martin County Economic Development, American Legion, Lee C. Prentice Post 36, Martin County Pork Producers, Central Farm Services, Martin County Historical Society, Kim Chris, Exit Realty, Fairmont National Agency, Incorporated. Join us in thanking each of them. Now we return to our program.
That's for sure. Before we dive into that, though, tell us a little bit about what's been going on at the Hub.
Well, we just got done with a great holiday season. Our vendors here at the Hub really outdid themselves with all their Martin County themed gifts. And you can continue to shop here. All these gifts can transfer to any time of the year too.
All the time.
Yeah.
And before the shoot, I was exploring around here, and I saw that we have a great variety of products and art creations. We've got artwork, gifts, collectibles, apparel, even vendors offering local-made honey, soap, coffee, jams, and seasonings, all created right here in Martin County.
Yeah, it truly is impressive what we've got going on here. And, all our community here and surrounding areas have shopped the Hub, but we've also have visitors from out of town. And recently we just had a really cool visitor, and they shared a great story with us.
Let's go check it out.
Hi, my name's Tor Anderson. I'm from Kansas City. Traveled to Fairmont yesterday to test an AM stereo radio that I repaired recently. AM stereo is something that was somewhat popular in the early 80s, but it fell off and isn't very, very big in the U.S. anymore, although there's maybe a couple dozen stations, AM stations in the United States that transmit AM stereo. There aren't any in the Kansas City area, so when I repaired this radio, I was able to confirm its operation on AM mono and FM stereo, but I had no way to test AM stereo without traveling to somewhere where I could pick up an AM stereo broadcast, and Fairmont was the closest place I could find to do that. So came here yesterday, was able to test this thoroughly, found that the radio worked. And the AM stereo signal is very good. I have it put into the aux jack of this old receiver so I could get a better feel for the left and right channel instead of this little radio with the speakers 6 inches apart. To visualize the stereo signal, I use an oscilloscope that allows me to look at the signal going to the speakers of the two channels. You see there's a diagonal line. And what that line is when the signal on the right channel goes to the right and the signal on the left channel goes to the vertical. So in a mono signal, that line is fairly diagonal with equal signal. If I move the balance all the way to the right, and it's a horizontal line. If I move the balance all the way to the left, it's a vertical line. So this is KSUM in mono, AM mono. And then when I turn it to stereo, you'll see what happens to the signal. That it gets very broad. It almost looks like steel wool, and that indicates that the signal going to the left and right are different whenever it deviates from that horizontal angle. So that's a good way to see the stereo signal visually with an oscilloscope, although you can still hear it. You can definitely hear the difference between the mono and the stereo when you're playing it. I was doing some comparisons to KSUM's FM stereo and the AM stereo signal, and I'd say they're pretty comparable. I would have to have them come through a receiver together to do an apples and apples comparison, but it certainly certainly demonstrates the stereophonic effect of AM stereo and the ability of a little radio like this to be able to receive it and turn it into stereo. My wife and I have enjoyed our stay in Fairmont. I've never been here before, and our trip up here for the sole purpose of testing this AM stereo. We had some pleasant surprises with some good shopping, a nice, vibrant downtown that you have here. So we did some shopping yesterday and this morning, and have 3 meals here so far, and all of them are good. So definitely a place we'd be willing to visit again, or maybe if I get another piece of AM stereo equipment, my wife will want to come travel back with me again. So, anyways, it's been a great time.
Yeah, wow. That's a really unique reason to visit Fairmont. I mean, Kansas City to Fairmont for a AM radio, that's kind of cool.
That is cool. I loved that he brought his family with and had a good time in Fairmont.
And he enjoyed our downtown and Fairmont in general, and they did some shopping and eating, and they had a great time. And they're going to come back and visit, hopefully.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, we've got coffee shops, we've got a brewery, we got all kinds of stuff downtown.
Yeah, so. We definitely do. Well, we found Mr. Anderson's story really intriguing, and I wanted to learn a little bit more. So we dived a little bit deeper and met up with Travis Mark after dark with City of Lakes Media. He is the broadcast engineer there.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
Thanks, Jeff and Al. Yeah, it's a pretty unique piece of KSUM being AM stereo. I think the number of AM stereo stations in the U.S. is around 45. When I started here 13 years ago, it was in the 70s, so they're rapidly dwindling down because just not that many people have an AM stereo receiver left. I think in the state of Minnesota, there are 3 AM stereo stations, and then 1 in Wisconsin, 1 in North Dakota. Iowa and South Dakota, as far as I know, don't have any. So every now and then we will get somebody that goes for a road trip just to hear the KSUM signal, but Kansas City is actually the furthest I've heard of anybody coming just to listen to the AM stereo signal. But it's a really cool, unique piece that makes KSUM KSUM. We want to keep it going as long as we can because so many stations are bought up by these corporate giants that just, if anything is AM stereo or not their standard equipment, they'll strip it out. But here we've got the freedom to keep it going, and since we're broadcasting country music, we keep it going, and it makes us unique. Back to you, Jeff and Al.
A big thank you to Mr. Anderson for sharing his story with us, and also thank you, Travis, for giving us a local perspective.
Absolutely. Now let's go to our studio guest.
All right, welcome, Ned. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here in Fairmont?
Sure. My name is Ned Koppen. I work for the City of Fairmont. I am the coordinator for Fairmont Economic Development Authority. My wife and I have raised our family here. We've lived here since 1986, longtime Fairmont residents, and that's me. I've worked a couple of jobs before this, but for the last 2.5 years, I've been with the city.
Okay, very cool.
Well, it's good to have you, Ned. Tell us a little bit about the Fairmont Economic Authority and how they have an art influence.
Well, I personally have an interest in the arts. You guys may or may not know my better half, Kim, is an art instructor and an artist herself. So, that kind of rubs off on me. So I have an interest in the arts and as well as being a board member with the two of you, on the
Right.
Imagine Martin board, which, is everything to do with arts in Martin County. So from a standpoint of economic development and what I do, I just think that the arts are a great way to highlight our community. It makes our community more vibrant. It's a great way to revitalize our community if that's the thing that we're interested in doing in certain areas. And I just think that it's a really good and attractive way to accomplish that.
So downtown Fairmont, quite a few businesses have got like facelifts over the past few years.
Yeah.
Does FIDA help with that or play into that?
I think we do. I hope we do.
Yeah.
We're kind of here talking about the arts, and I think that's played a part in the revitalization of downtown. Downtown Fairmont looks significantly different over the last couple of years from what it did before that.
Yeah.
And the part that FIDA plays is we have a revolving loan fund. that we can help businesses with when as a gap financer. Something that's been really popular that we created a couple of years ago is our facade program. And the facade program is a forgivable loan when people are doing things on the forward-facing portion of their business, be it siding or windows or a door or signage. We can match up to $5,000, and that's forgiven over 5 years. And it, I hope that it helps businesses accomplish those projects, or maybe spurs them to do those projects.
Yeah.
And then once a couple of businesses get started, more follow, I think.
Yeah, I think so. One will be done, and then, a little while later, it seems like another business has got a facelift. It's fun to see.
And along with that, the art projects that Imagine Martin and some of our artists and the Hogs Gone Wild, and all of that has contributed to the downtown looking quite a bit different than it did a couple of years ago.
It does. It looks great.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your wife also did some of the pigs. You said she was in the
Yeah, she painted a couple of the pigs, and I think she had a lot of fun doing that.
It was a fun project.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, Ned, a little bit about what your greatest accomplishments were with the Economic Authority, and maybe what you've got planned for 25?
Sure. Well, first of all, 2024 was a really good year. Everything's relative, but we were able to circulate $440,000 in revolving loan fund loans. We were able to close, I think, 5 or 6 different facade program loans. Those are really significant things, and we identified some marketing tools that we feel are impactful. Partners that help us bring new retail businesses to Fairmont, identify our traffic on our website, those kinds of things, as well as having a robust website and making efforts at publishing articles that are educational about economic development and social media posts as well. Yeah. As far as 25 goes, we're really excited. Those things that I just talked about, we're building on that already. We had our first board meeting, our January meeting, and already approved another revolving loan fund loan and a facade program loan. We've got some facade program participants that are working their projects right now currently, and you drive around, you see some of that stuff happening. Odds are we might be involved in that. I make every effort to know people in town and to develop partnerships. So one big thing that I think is that I'm excited about in 2025 is Fairmont Economic Development Authority is partnering with Visit Fairmont and Fairmont area schools, and we've engaged with a group called My Town, and they do videos. It's a 20 to 25 minute video that highlights your community, what's special about your community, what's unique, and why people would be interested in coming here. Watch for that in the fall. That's coming up.
That's exciting.
I saw that announcement on Facebook.
Yeah, so that's starting to be circulated and marketed a little bit, and we're in the planning processes now. In a few months, we'll have that team here shooting video and talking to different people in our community too, and telling our story. So we're just looking forward to building on all of that and all those marketing efforts, trying to bring new business to town. It's maybe even more important to support our existing businesses and then just bring things of value to our business community.
Well, Ned, it's really cool to see community members and people here in town that are inspired to create, and it's also really neat to find organizations that are also inspired to create here in Fairmont.
I think so too, and as an Imagine Martin board member, I think it's really exciting that those efforts from the Imagine Martin group bring those people together in those organizations.
Yeah, very cool. So thanks so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate you, Ned. Thanks so much.
It was really great to have Ned here and, teach us a little bit about what FIDA does here in Fairmont.
It was. They're doing a lot of amazing things around Fairmont and the arts.
Yeah, it's, doing the facelifts is art. I mean, revitalizing the town and making art important.
It really is. And it's awesome that even in our other interview, you saw that people are seeing Fairmont and wanting to come back, and they're excited about it.
Yeah. And before we go, we have another segment of More Than a Hobby where our hosts are going to talk about one of their personal hobbies.
Let's check it out.
Welcome. We're here with another episode of More Than a Hobby. And we're here with my friend Kevin. Kevin?
Yes, Wayne? It's going to be hard to take you serious with that hat on, you know.
I know, but I'm here to represent more than myself. I'm representing the inquiring minds that want to know.
Oh, well, of course. Well, go.
Well,
go ahead.
We've heard through the grapevine that you've written books.
Yeah, I've written a couple.
And this is fascinating. What books have you written?
Well, I'm glad you asked because book writing is not my main job, you know. I have other jobs and I live in a couple multiple places, but I always wanted to write, and it's hard to find time, you know, to write books, you know, when you have
definitely.
a full-time job.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to write one about my childhood game I used to play as a kid,
Fascinating.
right here in Fairmont.
Okay.
And
Tell me.
in those days, my mom, people in the area might know my parents. They were Don and Lois. They lived here their whole lives. But she had migraine headaches, really bad at one point. So you had to be really quiet. And when she was well, she'd go to garage sales and buy these boxes. You know, they were $1. Get the box full of stuff.
Sure.
And in those days, marbles were an important thing, and they'd be like around the bottom of the box. You know, all different kinds of marbles.
Yeah.
And so eventually, I accumulated like thousands of marbles.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and then I'd start playing with it because I had to be quiet. So I'd be on the floor playing with them, and I'd play around this barn my dad had built me, a wood barn, you know, with green roof. It'd open up and you could take the marbles in and out and stuff like that. And soon I developed a little game of that. It was marbles, the good guys versus the bad guys. And I don't know, did you play as a kid? Did you ever play that thing called freeze tag?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so what I remember about it is when you played, you got them, and they were froze. Yep. And they could be unfrozen, right? If another team member came over and tagged them.
Yes.
And the bad guys, right in the freeze tag, would try to freeze everybody. If they could freeze everybody out, they'd win the game.
Yes.
So that's the essence of Marble Wars. The good guys are trying to defend Marble Utopia against the bad guys who wants to freeze everybody out and win Marble Utopia and be the king. So that childhood memory, you know, imagining playing that on the floor when my mom had those headaches, I always wanted to share that story with other kids. I just thought it was fun. So that led me to the idea of writing it in a book fashion. And so that led to me writing these books that are behind you. It turned out to be a trilogy. So Marble Wars, The World Beneath, Marble Wars, Granite Death Halls, and the third one is Marble Wars, Battle for Marble Utopia. And so in those books, by the way, when you think you've lost your marbles, you haven't.
They're all there.
They go to the world beneath. That's how it comes out. So they're like real marbles, and they travel down the world beneath, and they convert into like people, if you will, that battle. So this story is about a hero named Marble Man who learns that he's got all these special powers, that he can defend Marble Utopia. He gets a girlfriend, and her name's Fragilian Glass, and she's anything but fragile. She's in there two-fisted fighting with swords and freezing people all the way through the story. And so this all leads to a big epic battle at the very end where they fight to protect Marble Utopia.
Wow. Well, I can see that you're very passionate about this, but how did you ever get started? I had no idea as my co-host that you were so interested in this.
Well, yeah, psychology's interesting, but it's not as creative as I wanted it to be. So I don't know if you feel anytime you get, well, like with your trainings, I know you feel creative, you know, you get those creative juices to make stuff. Well, I wanted to make stuff, and I actually started with doing videos about people telling their car stories.
Oh, wow.
To tell stories. I just wanted to hear people's stories. I did some stories about people with severe and persistent mental illness, telling about their stories of recovery. That led me to write a grant, which led me to get some help writing, because I'm not a very good writer, actually.
Interesting.
And so then that's how I was able to start. The grant took all through COVID. I was writing at home during COVID, and I was getting mentorship over online, and then that led to this, where I'd write a chapter a week, send it to this lady who was mentoring me, and she'd send it back with this feedback, and we just went through all that. And I thought it was one book, and that's when she told me, said, you know, Kevin, I think you have 3 books here instead of 1.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were this talented.
Well, I know it's talented. Like I've sold like $19 of that book in about 5 years now.
Money doesn't always depict success, but
So
yeah.
yeah.
Tell me.
So I've written more, and that led me to write another grant where I've got this camera in front of us because I wanted to tell a story about character strengths related to my work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because in psychology you want to build people up on their character strengths, positive character strengths, and I wanted to do a book for kids to teach them about positive character strengths. And I can't draw except for a stick man, you know, a little circle, and I wanted to have my own pictures, so that allowed me to learn about photography too, along with the video camera. I'd already been started working, and so I learned to take pictures, and that led me to do these other books that are behind us. And the first one was, this one's called Mini Winnie Ventures Out.
Wow.
And you can see...
That is a very small little pony.
Yes.
Wow.
So Wayne, you don't know it, but in the world all around us, in the forest about us, there's these little miniature animals.
No.
Yep. They live all around us, and they're so small they can fit in the palm of your hand like a horse.
Wow.
And that's what Mini Winnie is. And so the story is about a miniature little make-believe land that these animals are all around us, and their mantra is always to never, ever expose themselves to people and even other animals, because other animals can eat them, they're small, right? So our Mini Winnie is a teenage horse, and she's growing up, and she doesn't necessarily like all these rules. And one day, she comes across and finds a little animal that needs help in the forest. And so she has to make a decision. Do I help this little animal, this little puppy, who's obviously lost, or do I uphold these old ancient rules that my dad and grandfather passed down to me? So to find out, you're going to have to buy the book and find out what decision she makes.
Wow. It sounds pretty fascinating. But I see there's another book over here. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, well, this one's just fun. I mentioned, I began some video work working with street riders. I have a couple collector cars. And so I'm always kind of tired of ABC books because it's usually A for apple, right? B for ball, C for what? Cat,
Sure.
So street riders need to teach their kids about important parts of cars, right?
Yes.
And so this is like A for Aruga horn, B for bumper, C for coupe, stuff like that.
All right.
And so X gets really hard. X, Y, and Z are really hard to do. But it's a whole different flavor. It's just for fun.
Oh, that
It's just for
sounds
street riders.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to check that one out for sure.
Yeah. So it's just for fun.
Well, I never knew, or I never realized that you had this much passion about writing. I've known you for years, but this is sort of new for me. Tell me, because writing's a hard thing to do. How did you ever manage to apply those principles to that?
It's just got help with writing and just want to tell those stories, So
Okay.
just, reach out. It's not alone. I joined all sorts of clubs and writing groups and just started writing. And there's more to come. So there's another adventure of Mini Winnie coming up. She's going to help an animal get trapped in the woods that could eat her. That's coming up next. There's a farm ABC book coming up too. So look forward to that.
This could be a TV series, folks.
Yeah, we'll have to come back again, yes.
Yes. All right. This has been great having you come in here like this and telling me. I had no idea, as my co-host on More Than a Hobby, that you did this. Is this more than a hobby?
It is a passion, that's for sure, because you don't really make money at it. You just, I have to just do it for the satisfaction of telling stories and feeling creative, and it's just fun, yeah.
Well, that's great. How would a person acquire one of those books?
Well, I'm glad you asked. They're available on Amazon, so you can just go on Amazon, and this is all supported through Amazon, and it's going to also be downtown Fairmont at the Hub here, coming soon to here. So you can just come downtown Fairmont and get it. And I do need to mention that a lot of this work of mine was supported through the Five Wings Art Council in the other area where I live, and without their support, I wouldn't be able to do all this. So.
Well, that's great. It's always good to have support and help. Thank you, folks, for coming in for More Than a Hobby.
Well, there's certainly no shortage of talent among us.
Yeah, definitely. Our community is full of creators.
Absolutely. They definitely brought a new light to More Than a Hobby. I thought it was really good.
They were fun to watch. Well, that's our show for today. It was a great one. We'd like to thank our viewers and our sponsors for watching.
Imagine Martin, inspired to create.
A community knows no bounds when the citizens are inspired to create.